Hey folks, Quill18 here. I am still kind of sick, which is why I haven't recorded anything or announced anything yet today, but I am planning on doing Ludum Dare, or Ludum Dare, the 48-hour game programming competition. Happens 3 times a year, and it's happening this weekend. It starts at 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. If you do go to ludumdare.com, there'll be a countdown timer there. Or if you go over to twitch.tv/Quill18, where of course I'll be streaming it, you can do an !next stream command in the chat and get a type countdown timer there. Typically, the stream on my channel goes live, or at least, pre-stream party live by about 8 p.m. and then we'll go live a little bit before the stream announcement. We talk about different ideas, we get the hype going, we listen to some tunes, etc., etc. Everyone always asks, does it go on YouTube afterwards? Not generally. I do sometimes a time lapse, and sometimes we do a I do post-mortems, right? Analysis of the game afterwards. But the actual raw footage doesn't get put up on YouTube because I'm always listening to music and just chilling and having a good time. And it's not really the sort of thing, well, because of the music, I can't put it up there. And I'm not going to not play music because I have to keep myself sane. It's part of my workflow. Anyway, at 9 p.m., as I said, that's when the theme gets announced, and that's when we start hacking away. I will have 48 hours from that point to make a game from scratch. I can't use any existing art, can't use any existing music. You can use APIs and code libraries so that you don't literally have to write everything from scratch in like assembly to start off with. In the past, I have done every game except one has been done in Unity. I had talked about perhaps doing a game in pure C# this time, sort of an old school like text-based console, like DOS kind of game, or Unixy roguelike, or something of that sort, or like a BBS Doors game. And that might still happen, although even if I do decide to go with a text-based game overall, part of me is considering making a sort of virtual console inside of Unity, because it might actually be easier to port things to different systems like that. Like I might make a game in pure C# in the console that works great on Windows, and find out that the console terminal system is different, at least the way that it's emulated in C# on the Mac or Linux, which might make it a little bit hard to port over, but we'll see how that goes. Anyway, we don't know what the theme is yet. There is a good list of themes here. If you do log in, you can vote yourself. Just vote on whatever you think is the most interesting and will lead to the biggest variety of games. You don't have to copy mine at all. Ancient Technology did get the most votes in the preliminary rounds, so there's probably a good chance that we're going to see that just based on stats. Although in the past, I think it's actually been very rare that the one that had been upvoted the most actually wins in the final round. But I would not mind if that happened. I think as always, whenever you go to the main page and you check out the post about the main theme here, and you look at the comments, 100% of the time, every Ludum Dare, like clockwork, some people are like, oh, all these themes suck. Or there's specific debate about, like, see, this person doesn't want ancient technology. And then other people are like, no, it's like super good. They're super excited about it. I've been just trying to crank out a bunch of ideas. I've got like a dozen or more ideas for that one. So I'm totally prepped and pumped for ancient technology. I think we're actually getting a lot of variety, but a lot of the other ones have a lot of potential too, including the ones I downvoted. I just downvoted because of, I don't know, whatever. It's semi-arbitrary, but... So yeah, we'll find out in 2 hours from when I record this video. We will find out what theme it is, and then we are going to make a game. I do stream the whole thing. I do stop for sleep, and I go for plenty of walks and have dinner and things like that. Got to keep the energy levels up. Got to keep healthy. Got to keep the brain properly oxygenated. But other than that, I will be streaming the whole weekend. We have a great time. And again, I do work on it solo, but there's a lot of interaction with the chat. We talk about ideas, come up with titles for the game. Whenever possible, I put out test builds for people to try. The frequency of that will depend a little bit based on what kind of game structure there's. By the way, I'm going to put a link down below so that you can play. These are all my previous entries. I've entered 14 times so far in a row. This is going to be number 15 in a row, which is pretty crazy. You can play from my oldest game to the newest. The only one you can't play is Fish Tank Commander because it was a browser-based strategy game, but the server for it no longer exists. So no Fish Tank Commander. But I think all the others, hopefully, are still available. Hopefully all their links still work. Cross our fingers there. My top rated game, so every Ludum Dare gets maybe a couple of thousand entries. I mean, it varies. I want, sorry, not that page. I want, yeah, there you go. You can see total entries. So for the, Oh, recent events. Doesn't actually have Ludum Dare 35, probably because it was a different page. But you can see here 2,800 entries, 2,700 entries, 2,800 entries. If you have to go all the way back to Ludum Dare 28, in 2013, before you're just barely not in the 2,000 entries anymore, which is pretty crazy. Anyway, my top rated game, obviously just in the 48-hour compo, is Drill 18, The Mars Project, which came in 6th overall. I was really happy about that. Since then, the games haven't quite done as well, although they've all been top 100. Actually, I think they've all been top 50, now that I think about it. And in particular, I think that Growth Industries and Dr. Deckenstein's are actually my two best games, significantly. In fact, I'm a really big fan of Dr. Deckenstein. I think it's my best work so far. It didn't rank quite as highly because, sometimes there's different moods and interests and things. Also, Dr. Deckenstein, I didn't have time to put in sound, which probably held it back a bit. But other than that, it's my favorite game. I find it very challenging, very fun to play. It's the one that I actually have the most fun just playing with on my own. I mean, obviously, if you had more than 48 hours, if I had 72 hours, or in fact, if I had a couple of weeks, there'd probably be some other choices that I'd make differently in Dr. Deckenstein. But other than that, I find it really, really, really enjoyable, really solid game. So we'll see what we end up doing this time, whether we do a text-based thing, whether we do something in Unity, whether we do something, JavaScript-y in a browser. That's always a possibility as well, especially since, speaking of text-based stuff, I had long thought about doing something like this. I made this fake text-based kind of emulator kind of setup over here, which I thought would be, a lot of fun. So that was a test game that I did that's pure in JavaScript. So I don't know what we're going to do. We're going to find out when we start. So coming out, twitch.tv/Quill18. Hopefully my voice holds out. I have been resting it for the past couple of days. I'm mostly over the cold, still a little bit sniffly, and still my throat still feels a little bit tight and a little scratchy. So that might impact us a little bit. Hopefully it doesn't impact my energy levels too much. Again, I've been trying to just rest the last 2 days because I knew I would have 48 hours of insanity ahead of me this weekend. So come on out. I will see you there. Bye-bye.